Hey everyone, today we're going to do a tour of the beautiful Norwegian Joy. Let's go check it out. Hey everyone, John here from Bite Size Cruises. Welcome back to our channel. Right now we're going to do this wonderful walking tour of the NCL Joy. We hope everybody appreciates and loves it. So let's start here on deck 17. This is the upper pool deck. It is not a rainy morning, even though you see that the ground is wet there. It is just the mornings on a cruise ship. So when you're at sea, a lot of times everything's just a little wet overnight. So you'll see the guys out there just mopping up and pushing the water to the drains and cleaning up. I try to do these tours early in the morning so that we don't interfere with people's vacations. As you can see, we are docked here in Bermuda at the Royal Naval Dockyard, and we're going to go around. You see a little chessboards here. The upper pool deck is pretty large. When we look at the lower pool deck, we'll talk about the issues with that, but you can see there is a running track up here as well. One of the things Norwegian does on a lot of the ships is there are like routes that don't go anywhere, and that's a little confusing. But up here on the upper pool deck, you can see there's a lot of space. I do like a few things a lot on the upper pool deck here. There are these little pieces of shade as you walk around, which is really nice. You can get a deck chair in the shade, which is rare for an upper pool deck to have some shade there. The upper pool deck here does get very crowded, as does the lower pool deck, as does every pool deck on every cruise ship. So you could see the walking / running track there doesn't conflict as much as it usually does with people laying out in the sun. However, people do move their chairs over there as the day moves on. So there is really no way to use the walking or running track because no one enforces that people don't move their chairs around. So the upper pool deck here winds just about all the way around the ship other than the front and the back. So it's kind of full on both sides, almost to the front, almost to the back. There is the Haven complex in the ship there that's going to stop it, and then Spice H20 in the back of the ship, which stops it there as well. And then all of the other fun things on the back of the ship there with the racetrack and everything else. So there you see the racer slide. That's the one that goes over the side of the ship. That one's a lot of fun. Little piece of advice, you can get stuck in there. So there's a little escape hatch to get you out of there. There's the stairs that go up to the other slide, which is a tube slide. That one's a lot of fun as well. Much easier. That one's all ages. The racer one is a little bit, you gotta feel it a little bit. There's the steps there to go up to the racer one. It does go down. You do flip over. So it does have a loop over the side of the ship. And that's where some people get stuck. They don't make it all the way around the loop. Right there, you see the stairs that go up to the Speedway, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we get to that portion of it. But we're going to wind around here towards the back of the ship and towards the American diner. This is the 50s style diner. This is an additional cost. Probably shouldn't be, or it should be like a $5 or $10 cover, I think. But it is an additional cost. You could do a la carte, or you could do it as part of your dining package. We did a full review on it. It's, burgers, chicken sandwiches, milkshakes, French fries, those type of things. So it's fun, but not necessarily, I think, should be extra money. We're going to wander into the back of deck 17 here, and we're going to come up to Spice H20. Spice H20 is an adults-only sun deck during the day, and then in the evening they have a lot of parties and different things out there. So you will see that kind of clears up at night, and anyone can go in. But during the day, it is nice to have an adults-only area for hanging out, relaxing, having a drink, where you don't have to deal with it. On a lot of these sailings, there are a ton of kids. On this sailing, there was 1,100. So, and that's people under the age of 18. And there's only 4,700 people on the ship, so it's about a quarter of the ship. So having a little solace here is pretty nice. As you walk out here, the Spice H20 complex on all the ships is a little bit different. To the left is a bar on this one. You can see the Spice H20 is a little bit smaller than it is on some of the other Breakaway Plus class ships and on the Breakaway and Getaway. And to the right, you are going to see when we swing back around, there's a giant, like 30-person hot tub, which is seems very fun and loud and festive during the day. So if that is your cup of tea, you will have a blast back here. There's a lot of people there. Everybody's hanging out, having some drinks. And that is closed at night. So you cannot go in that hot tub at night. Once the kids are allowed in the back, they do not let anybody in that hot tub. It shuts down. And generally they have parties and stuff going on, so they don't want any people getting hurt or anything. Once again, here is the Speedway up on deck 18. This was a lot of fun. We did it. This is also an additional cost. It is $15 per ride. You do get about 10 minutes, so I do think it's worth it. It's just, one of the sad facts of cruising right now is that there are a lot of additional costs, a lot of nickel and diming, things that are extra. It just is what it is at the moment, but this is a ton of fun. Now we're going to head up to deck 20 here and look at the really cool laser tag arena. This is going away in just a few months. January of 2024, the NCL Joy will go through dry dock, and this will be removed, and they are extending the Vibe Beach Club, which is an additional cost, and it's a quiet adults only, kind of like an upscale, just a pool deck with some hot tubs and bar and cushioned seats. There is currently a Vibe Beach Club up there. They're just making it way bigger. I don't think it's a terrible idea considering how crowded the ship is. It would be nice to have an area. I wish it wasn't an additional cost. I wish it was just an adults only kind of beach club, but it is additional and it's a few $100 for the week. I don't think it's worth it, but some people love it. Some people, everyone I've asked about it who's used it has said that they love it. To me, it just seems like a waste of money. I'd prefer the thermal suite, which we'll get to in a little bit. So now we are just looking at the area, kind of looking down on the main pool deck and the bizarrely set up pool deck here. I don't understand the pool deck at all. I don't know why they made it like this, but everybody has feelings on it. As you can see, there are two pools on the pool deck. If you look here to the right, you see the kids like splash zone. You see also this is where the water slides are. And then that is the kids pool there. The kids pool is much bigger than the actual pool on the pool deck, which again, to me is bizarre. As we kind of pan and look around, one of the things that you're going to notice is how big the pool deck is and how small the pool is. I think I hyper focused on, I wanted to get the bucket dropping there and it just didn't happen for me. There's a little bucket in the kids area there that fills up with water. It fills up with a ton of water and it then dumps on you. As you can see during the day and in the evening, they do put chairs out here all throughout the entire pool deck. I don't know why I'm going back and forth like that. Again, I think I'm just waiting for the bucket to fill, which it didn't. So I'm not going to win any Academy Awards for filmography there. So here is the big screen, which is really nice. They do show movies there at night. Again, very nice. But look how big the pool deck is, and this is all wasted space. There's nothing there. The pool is over to the right. It's the tiny, tiny little postage stamp of a pool. And then obviously there's the undercover seating there for the buffet and for everything else. Speaking of the buffet, here we are heading into the garden buffet on deck 16. Folks, that's where you're supposed to wash your hands before you go into the buffet. Please do that. Everybody just walks by it now. Since the pandemic, they're like, whatever, we're not washing our hands. The garden buffet is smaller than it should be. It was constantly packed and chaotic in here. That's normal. It is what it is on cruise ships. But for some reason, the setup on these breakaway plus class ships of the Garden Buffet is very small. There's a lot of open area where the food and everything is, which is great. It doesn't get awful clogged up there. It's just impossible to find seating a big chunk of the time. They do have all your classic foods out. Obviously, you have Asian foods, you have Indian food, you have classic American fare, all your breakfast items. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is served in the Garden Buffet. Usually on some of the older NCL ships, I love the fact that you can go all the way to the back of the buffet here, and they have an outdoor area called the Great Outdoors. This buffet does not. This ship does not have that. Since we are at the front of the ship, which is a slightly unique configuration, the observation lounge is in front of us here, where if you go all the way to the edge there and you would look down, you would see the observation lounge. So it's just seating back here, and it's small. So it's smaller than most buffets where it would really go back here and there would be extra seating. So this is usually where I tell people to go sit. But as you can see, it's crowded and these tables are very close together. So it gets very chaotic for all 3 meals. But that's life currently on cruise ships. It is crowded, so nothing you can do about that. There's some soft serve there, and then you obviously have several stations for coffee, tea, and everything else. Now we head over to the Pulse Fitness Center on deck 16 as well. Nice sized gym for a cruise ship. You know, the gyms are never really crowded. You will see a lot of people in there on the treadmills and working out a little bit during the day. But for the most part, this area does not get super crowded. And take a quick look at the Mandara Spa. This is all going to be remodeled during the upcoming dry dock. This is going to become the spa and the thermal suite, which would then be similar to the other ships in this class. Now we're going to wander into the Galaxy Pavillion. This is what's going away. This is where the thermal suite will be. This area is very cool. Joy was the first ship to get this virtual reality kind of arcade. And it's cool, but it was very empty the entire cruise. And each one of these games is $8 to $12 per time you play. And you can see the area is very big. It's just a giant waste of space, which is why they're getting rid of this and putting in a thermal suite, which I love. I think if they had the thermal suite on this, I would have enjoyed my cruise a lot more because it would have been less crowded, because they do reduce, they have a specific amount of people that are allowed in the thermal suite. As you can see, there's just like sitting areas here where no one hangs out ever, and a whole bunch of virtual reality games. And most of the time they went virtually unused. Get it? So I think that will greatly help the ship. Obviously, the Vibe Beach Club will help with the crowded aspect of it. The ship was very crowded, and it was noticeably hard to get around certain areas because the flow of these ships isn't the best for big crowds. If there was like 2,500 to 3,500 people on the ship instead of 4,700, these would be the best ships ever. There's tons of things to do. The food's great, all of those other things, but it just gets super, super crowded. This is the observation lounge, one of my favorite spots on the ship. They will be adding 40 balcony cabins here. They will be spa balcony cabins. I don't love that they're getting rid of a big chunk of the observation lounge. They do have snacks and food in here all throughout the day, which is really nice. This is a great area. My one concern on this cruise, and I knew it as soon as I got on the ship, this became like a hangout spot for teens at night. It makes total sense, right? It's a quiet, dark area. Where do you think teens are going to hang out, right? It made all the sense in the world. But this is a great spot during the day just to come and read and relax. I love this spot. If they combined this area with like a solarium or something, it would be amazing. But this observation lounge is very big. You'll get to the back and see the beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows. Obviously spectacular anywhere. If you're in the Caribbean, Bermuda, Alaska, wherever you're going, you get these just incredible 180-degree views. And at night, they have piano and music up here, which is really nice. And like I said, there's food here. There's a full Starbucks up here, as well as down on deck 6, which we'll see in a little bit. But here you really get the beauty of it. It's not as big as the observation lounge on Bliss, which I love, but it's a nice size, but getting smaller due to the balcony cabins, which I'm not happy about. But, you know, I'm not Norwegian Cruise Line, so I don't have any say in what they do. But it's an awesome area. I love it. We spent so much time up in the observation lounge. It was just an awesome place for us. Again, just a great spot to hang out morning, noon, and night. If you just want some relaxing time away from the kind of hustle and bustle of this very crowded cruise ship. Obviously, this area does get a little bit crowded in the mornings and in the evenings, but otherwise it's like a peaceful oasis away from a lot of the big crowds, which I love. And we had our favorite Starbucks barista, Emmy, up here. It was her birthday on the last day of the cruise, so happy birthday, Emmy. Hope you had a wonderful day. She is great. So we're going to wind around here. Obviously, the observation. I don't know how they're going to configure this with the new balconies. I don't know if they're going to make it like more narrow here. I really hope not. Or if they're just going to take out a huge chunk from the front and then put the opening of this further back or further front on the ship. I'm not sure how exactly that's all going to work in the dry dock, but I'm eager to see that. Going to head down to Deck 6 now. Deck 6 is kind of the focal point of the ship. This is kind of where everything takes place. This is the atrium. Atrium, very big, and it does get very crowded for different events. For the evening events, especially morning trivia and things, not too bad. But in the evening, it does get really crowded. This is really a big area. There's plenty of seating. These side areas don't get crowded for the most part, but most of the other areas do. That's guest services up there. And then you see how really big this area is, which is very nice. You have the atrium bar over there to your right. And then we're going to wander through here and show you everything there is. So there's the Perspectives studio. It's where you can get photographs taken if you wanted to get family photos or anything like that. That is the IT area there. If you're having problems with the internet, I don't know what they can do because the internet's terrible. But you could say hi to that guy and thank him for not having any bandwidth. And then you wander through here and you're going to see they have a full Starbucks store here. Again, atrium bar right in front of you there. And then if you look to your left here, this is a full Starbucks store. So you can sit in here. It doesn't, surprisingly, the Starbucks itself is crowded, but if you wanted to sit there during the day and just hang out or anything, it doesn't get too crowded there, which is really nice. Then right off of the atrium is the library and the card room. Tons of books in here. I was really impressed at how big this library is and how many books are in here. There are a ton of books in here. You can come in here and get the daily puzzle, crossword puzzle, the daily Sudoku. You can sit in here and play games like backgammon or Monopoly or Clue. They have a bunch of games. They have a book swap if you wanted to swap out books. And then we have Park West, ladies and gentlemen. The same pictures you see on every single cruise. Here they are. Timeless artworks that are just printed over and over and over again for every cruise ship. I'm not snarky about the art at all. Please don't waste your money on art on a cruise ship. That's my little PSA for that. Here is the kind of middle of the bar. That's the mixed bar there. You have Taste and Savor on both sides here. Those are your main dining rooms. They are complimentary. This area gets incredibly crowded. During breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's almost impossible to walk by here. And the restaurants themselves do a really good job of getting, all the people in. It's just too many people in a small space there. So it does get really, really, really crowded. But that's to be expected. All right, now we're going to head to the hub of the ship, which is 678 Place. So initially, Joy was built for the Asian market, so this area looks different than it does on the other Breakaway Plus class ships. because Teppanyaki is so big. So you're going to see here, obviously, this beautiful chandelier. This is open on deck 6, 7, and 8. To your left, you're going to see the Social, which is the nightclub and comedy club in the evening. You have the beautiful stairs that this 6, 7, 8 place is known for, and that beautiful chandelier, which they're different on every one of the ships, but they're all cool. The lights change all the time. It's really cool at Christmas and different holidays. It lights up for the holidays. Very, very, very cool area. We're going to head in, take a look at the Social. I think when I videoed this, this is the only time I was ever in this area of the ship, which is pretty crazy. I'm not a big fan of comedy on cruise ships, but this is a cool space. It's the nightclub. Obviously, I'm not going to the nightclub anymore. Those days are long gone. So then we're going to wander out back into 6, 7, 8 place here. And we're going to head into Teppanyaki. Again, Teppanyaki, this is the biggest Teppanyaki on any of the Norwegian ships that I've ever been on. Usually there's about 4 or 5 hibachi tables. This one had, I don't know, about 10 of these. It's crazy how big it is. It's on both sides here. There's a private room in the back. It's massive. It was such a great time. One of the highlights of the trip for us, for sure. Yeah, just a really cool spot. Such a great time. We go there for sail away right after sail away every time, and it's awesome. So to your left here, you're going to see Maltings Whiskey Bar. This bar is huge on here. Again, I'm not sure what this was in the original Asian market, but it's a big, big area. It's a really nice spot in the early evening if you want to get away from the crowds and hang out somewhere, have a cocktail. It was never crowded in here. It's kind of recessed back. I think a lot of people just don't come in here because they're hanging out at the atrium bar or the mix bar. But it's a big area, and it was never crowded, which is awesome. And they have really cool drinks there. So over here towards the front of the ship, we have the Q Texas Smokehouse. This is right beneath the theater. So this is obviously the specialty dining. You could either use a dining package or a la carte. The food was great here. The ambiance is really cool. I love this little venue. They have music in here every night. You can just come in, hang out at the bar. Again, another bar on the ship that is pretty quiet and empty. One of the things on this ship is everybody seems to congregate in the same spots, which is odd to me. But this venue is great. It is big if you want to grab something to eat in here. There is music here every night. The bar has about 12 seats. It doesn't get crowded. So if you want some little tips and tricks, the Maltings Whiskey Bar is a good place to avoid the crowds, and so is this. Obviously, the mix bar right in the middle there and the atrium bar get very, very crowded. So I would recommend that you stay away from those and head to the quieter spots. Speaking of the Joy Theater, let's take a look at that real quick. The theater's a pretty good size, especially for this size ship. Obviously, at the moment, Footloose and Elements are the two big shows. Footloose is going away in October, sadly. I'm not sure that they're going to replace that with anything other than standard like cruise shows. But they do have a box office here. It's kind of a silly idea and a waste of space. But you can come in here and reserve your shows. You could also do that on the app. You could do it on any of the kiosks. And then they have the box office here as well if you just want to talk to somebody. But you can come in here. As you see, the theater's pretty big. Plenty of seating. I will say the shows, if you have to reserve those big shows, and then it's first come, first serve for the rest of them. They open up the theater about 45 minutes prior to the show. If you want a good seat, you need to be here. You need to be there within 30 minutes of the show. Otherwise, it gets very, very crowded. Continuing on here, now we're up on deck 7. Sorry, I mentioned that earlier. The theater and the casino here are on deck 7. The casino is very big for cruise ship. Obviously, it was in the Asian market. The casinos generally tend to be huge for the Asian cruise ships. So when they brought it back here, I'm sure they made it smaller, but it is still a big casino. Again, another quiet spot here. This bar did not get overly crowded in the casino. Great spot to meet people. play some slots if that's your thing. They have that fake band up on the wall there. It's pretty cool. And then you wind through the casino here, which was a really good size for this ship. It was never, obscenely crowded. It does get a little crowded. That little room there is an awesome thing that Norwegian does. That is the smoking casino. So you have to be inside those glass walls to smoke, and the smoke doesn't really come out too much. It's actually pretty nice. And we're going to wander down here through the rest of the casino. And obviously that brings you back out to the middle. And then we're going to spin back around after we get through the casino here. So the casino obviously goes from that entire side of the ship to 678 Place. You can see that's where your cashier is. They have the little lotto going on there. Here's where all of your tables are. Not a ton of tables, but they have a few. I didn't see a lot of people playing tables. Not a lot of people playing craps. Usually roulette's pretty crowded. It wasn't even that bad. And then you walk through that side again, and we're going to wind our way down to the local here. This is what most of the older ships had, Oceans. They now have the local. Same thing. It's just kind of like a pub. This is open pretty much 24 hours a day. You can get all of your typical bar food. It does overlook the atrium, so this area does get super crowded in all times of the day. Let's be honest. It's pretty crowded because there's something going on in the atrium all the time. So people will come up here when it gets too crowded in the atrium. And this is just a hot spot for people to grab like quick food during the day and at night. Also, like a very popular place late night. So you see a lot of people up here between 12 and 3 a.m. Then as you continue down, there is a little arcade here where you can play some games, hang out. All these games are an additional cost, just so you know. You can just swipe your card and it charges you. They all range from like 75 cents to $2 or $3, depending on what you're doing. You have your traditional hoop shots, your skee ball, your little bowling game there. And then all of your little kid trap things where they win prizes, but you could just buy them instead. So this winds down, and then that obviously takes you down to where the theater is on deck 7. We're going to pop up to deck 8 here, and we're going to look at the Manhattan room. Actually, we're going to stay on 7. Manhattan room's at the end of the back of deck 7. I was really disappointed in this Manhattan room. I love the Manhattan room and the Tropicana room. It's called different things on different ships. This is generally a really cool dining room. This is a main dining room. It's complimentary. Usually there's a big open dance floor. It's like one of those old New York jazz clubs. There's music in here every night. There's dancing, a bunch of different things. This one, it doesn't have it. It's just all full of tables. It's just another dining room. So I wasn't thrilled about that. Now we're going to pop up deck 8 and we're going to walk along the waterfront. The waterfront is one of the kind of innovations of Norwegian. They built this. It's like a boardwalk on the whole outside of the ship. They took the kind of promenade deck on the outside and made it just way better than any other cruise line had ever done it before. They added outdoor dining for restaurants. Just seating, a bunch of different things. This gets even cooler on the Prima series. That's one of the few things I really love on the Prima class ships. But we're going to walk here and just give you a good look around. Remember, it's early in the morning. It wasn't raining or anything. It's just wet out there. So as we slide along the waterfront here, again, one of my goals in this video is going to try to tell you where to go because it's going to feel crowded on the inside of the ship if it's a full sailing, which at this point, most of them are sailing over 100% capacity. So this is another area, depending on the time of day, where you can go to get away from the crowd. Anytime I was walking from one end to the ship to the other, anywhere I needed to be on 6, 7, or 8, I did it here. And then I would just cut in, go down the steps to the floor, specific floor that I was going to. But this is a great place. The waterfront goes almost all the way around the ship. It does not go around in the front because that's where Food Republic and District Brew House are. But you do get these beautiful views of the wake back here. You can come, you can hang out back here anytime during the day or the night, obviously, and get these just spectacular views. Obviously, the railing goes out. There is a little see-through floor here. One of them was broken. As you can see, there's a plank over it. But something to do there if you are looking for amazing views. Right looking in there is the restaurants that we will get to in a minute up on deck 8. And again, this winds all the way around the ship. This is a great place to go even after dinner just to get like a nice little walk-in. I love these areas. There is a ton of outdoor seating for the different restaurants. There are some restaurants have a little more seating than others. Like I said, on this particular ship, La Cucina has a ton of seating, just a ton. So if you want Italian food, for some reason I would think Cagney's would have more seating because it's a more popular restaurant, but La Cucina has a ton of seating. So any of these, the other great thing Norwegian does is they have these windows up around the seating. So even if it's windy out, you could sit outside and still enjoy it, which I think is great and very thoughtful. So where I fault them for some of the crowdedness, there is a lot of really cool innovation and cool things that you can see and do here. The other cool thing you will find on the waterfront is there is a bar on both sides of the ship. On the one side, there is a bar where the Cavern Club is, which we'll see inside in a few minutes. And there is also a bar where on the Mojito bar on the outside. And we'll see that as we wander up here throughout it. As you can tell, this is early in the morning, but it's not that early in the morning, and it's empty out here. Very quiet. You can hang out, sit here, and read during the day. It gets very, very crowded only when it is there's something big going on, like if we're passing something or something specific. I do like they have all different kinds of themes as you go through. It kind of matches whatever's going on. If you're at the restaurants, it looks different. Here you go. Here's one of the bars here. This is the Sugarcane Mojito Bar. And if you go right in here, you would be in the Sugarcane Mojito Bar on the inside, which is really cool. So there's an inside and outside version of those bars. Just give you a little perspective of how cool this outdoor area is and how big it is. If you've made it this far in the tour, let me know what your favorite ship is in the comments. Do you have a favorite ship on a favorite cruise line? Let me know. Again, you see the outdoor dining for each of the restaurants with the windows there, which is very nice. So you can still get the elements. This is Ocean Blue, the seafood restaurant. We will see that in just a few minutes. We're going to wander inside as we come in on the front part of that little 8th deck there. And you're going to see why you can't walk all the way around on the waterfront, because the District Brew House and Food Republic swing out onto the wings of the ship there. So this is Food Republic, another specialty dining. It is Asian fusion, so you can get like bao buns, sushi, firecracker shrimp, any kind of hand rolls, all different kinds of Asian cuisine mixed up in here. You have little iPads you could order from, and they deliver whatever you order. Keep in mind, if you do a la carte, it does get really expensive, but the food is great. Highly recommend it. And then on the other end, right across from that, is District Brew House. So this is the beer hall on Norwegian Joy. This is a cool space. They have a pianist in here at night who comes. It's more of a party fun vibe. It's, like kind of a dueling pianos vibe. They have a ton of beers on tap. It is a really cool spot. There's a photo booth in the back for you to take your picture. They have little small bites in here from Food Republic that you can order. They are additional fee, just so you're aware. But again, this swings out on the other side of the ship, so you get these really cool views at any time. You can see where it juts out into the waterfront there. There's the photo booth. Out here on deck 8 on the inside, this is Cellars, which is the wine bar by Robert Mondavi. They have wine tastings in here every day and every sea day. And then you can come in here for a drink before dinner, some wine. They do have a sommelier on board who can help you and guide you with your wine selections. And they will have cool wine here that they don't have anywhere else throughout the ship. This is Ocean Blue, the seafood restaurant. It is tucked behind Cellars, the wine bar there. Great seafood specialty dining restaurant, fairly large for this ship. And these were crowded. All the specialty dining restaurants were very crowded throughout the cruise. People are really starting to get into specialty dining, which I find fascinating. This is La Cucina right across from Cellars and Ocean Blue. This is the Italian restaurant on board. This restaurant is very big, and it was not as crowded as Cagney's or Ocean Blue. So I'm not sure why it's that much bigger than the rest of them, but it is very large. You can see it's like twice the size of Ocean Blue, and there's outdoor seating as well. There is for Ocean Blue too. Good restaurant, not great in my opinion, but still fun. Now we're out here on deck 8, midship, where all the shops are. So you could find all of your standard shops you would find on any cruise ship. You have your liquor and your, different sundries that you may need. Then we're going to wind up here to the Cavern Club. I love this idea. This is a replica of the Beatles Club in Liverpool. In theory, this is awesome. In practice, it gets way too crowded in here. It is too small just for this size ship. As you can see, you could only fit maybe like 200 people in here tops. It's very narrow. Obviously, there's nothing back here except for the bar. And then again, I understand that it's a replica, so you can only do so much with it. And the kind of the allure of it is that it's small. But look how small that is. You could barely fit 50 people right there. And the Beatles tribute band plays in here. On some of the other ships, they have like different kinds of bands that play in there. It's called the Poorhouse on different ships. Again, your standard shops that you have where they're selling jewelry and all of the different things that they try to sell you on cruise ships. No more so here than anywhere else. Again, really narrow spaces here that are, once it gets crowded, it is very difficult to get through some of these areas, especially if they're running like sales here or having a tasting. You have your little photo store here. We did a little photography class in here that was great. Again, there's certain areas of the ship that I'm like, this area is so big and it's so tight. I don't understand it. It's the shop where they sell most of the NCL gear. Where they have men's and women's jewelry, clothes, different things in the boutique. And then we're going to wind down to the restaurants and bars at the end of the ship here. So this is the back of deck 8 as we're getting close to the end of our tour here. This is where Cagney's and Le Bistro is. So as you walk in here, it's a beautiful grand entrance. You will arrive at the A-list bar, which is right between Cagney's and Le Bistro. It is a great bar, great place to grab a drink. Again, if you're going to dinner up here, it does get super crowded because Cagney's is always packed. So you will find it's hard to get a seat at the bar because there's just people mulling around waiting to get seated at Cagney's, which is always packed and it's very big. And there's outdoor seating. It's just really tight here with those few chairs. The waiting, the entry desk there, And then you have the beautiful open pass where they're cooking steaks. Great restaurant. Lots of space. It's huge, but it was super packed the entire time we were there. But we had a great meal there. It just took forever because it was so crowded. And then last but not least, we're going to wind over to Le Bistro. Doesn't look like your typical Le Bistro. It's usually down on deck 6. They have it up here on 8 where Moderno usually is. But Le Bistro is here. It is beautiful. The food is amazing. And that is going to wrap up our public areas tour of the NCL Joy. We hope you enjoyed it. We would love for you to subscribe. We put out a new cruise video every single day. Once again, my name is John from Bite Size Cruises. Thank you all so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.